What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am your host, Rexx Ruger. That, of course, is the Freddie Mercury puppet. We, of course, are back with another incredible episode. That's what we do here, folks. Before we go any further, as I do every episode, I will go ahead and address the elephant in the room. You, of course, have your eyes feasted on these smoldering good looks, and how could you not? These luscious blonde locks. I will confirm for you that, yes, you are looking at the one and only love child of one Diamond David Lee Roth. Now you know we can get down to brass tacks, which, as I said, is another incredible episode. My guest is here, so we are going to get down to it, going all the way to Australia. Mr. International. Add that to the moniker. Here we go. Hello, Matt.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Man, I appreciate you doing this. And so sorry about the time mix-up, man. I've done 300, and I was just telling people 345 episodes of this podcast, and sometimes it is extremely difficult for me, even sometimes, to wrap my head around all these different. Well, first of all, for you, I appreciate it, man, because it is very early in the morning where you are. Correct?
Yeah, but I'm an early riser, so it's no
you
stress.
Okay, yeah. That makes me feel a lot better, man, because when you first texted me and said, yeah, this will be like wee early morning hours for me, I thought, wow, that, because, you know, I would have probably to think that is probably the antithesis of what most rockers and people in the music world, hours they don't normally keep. Have you always been a morning person?
Probably, and that's probably just because of work.
Yeah.
I think I've spent so much time sort of just being up early for work that I actually start work earlier now than usual. I mean, you know, I would usually just be in, like, I don't know, a 9 to 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I actually start a little bit earlier than if typical at the moment. So
yeah,
on the weekends, like, I'm up at sort of 6 or something, and I've just had 2 weeks holiday at the moment, so I'm
nice.
still up everything, but it's good, you know. You get up early, like I play guitar in the morning. No one's awake. I just do my own thing, and you know, you kind of feel like you've achieved something before the day started. So it's good.
Yeah. And so usually when I start these things, I kind of like to go back to the beginning, because talking to so many musical artists on here, there is kind of a common backstory that a lot of musical artists are raised in homes where maybe the parents are very much into music, maybe musicians themselves, or it's a musical household. There's an abundance of records playing. Was this the case for you?
I think my parents listened to music. They didn't play music as such, but the radio was always on. And if I was a little kid and if my mum was going somewhere and dragging me along, she would always have the radio on. And she also listened to, I mean, my parents had albums that they listened to. So, I mean, I was exposed to and listening to music from a pretty young age. And there were things that I was sort of drawn to. Not, you know, they didn't really listen to rock or anything sort of aggressive. But, you know, from like a young age, anything that they did hear, I remember certain things that were quite sort of impressionable upon me. So it's everything probably comes from being little, but from being a child, I guess. But yeah, they didn't play music, but I listened to. I mean, my mum listened to I remember there was a Bee Gees tape in the car, of all things. Bee Gees are all right. I don't mind Bee Gees, but I listened to that tape when I was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old, whatever it was. And, you know, just as a silly example, there's a song, I think it's called Jive Talkin', and it starts with this sort of like, there's this syncopated rhythm. It's a little bit like the intro to, what's that Megadeth song, Train of Consequences? Like,
yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
There's that, and then there's like this big synthy sort of bass sound, bow, and it's quite a heavy sort of, it's a heavy tone.
Yeah.
You know? I remember being drawn to that, which was, you know, I mean, it's quite funny in hindsight, the way things go, like hearing that sort of, that rhythmic motif and the sort of the driving bass line.
Yeah.
That sort of stuck with me as a kid. And, you know, I would hear AC/DC in the car just when we were driving somewhere, going shopping or to school, whatever it was, where I was being dragged along to. So, you know, I heard music from a young age, and there's definitely things that stuck with me, you know, like hearing AC/DC. Like I had an AC. I used to borrow my mum's cassette player, portable cassette player, and I listened to an AC/DC tape, and I didn't understand that you could just turn the tape over.
Yeah.
Like there was one song that I'd hear and I loved it, and I'd fast forward the tape all the way to the other end, turn it over, and then fast forward all the way back to the start.
Yeah.
Turn it over, so I could hear that one song.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's like not a musical playing background of a household, but there was a guitar in the cupboard, and that's how that all began. I think that was my granddad's, and it got sort of gifted to me at some point. Well, gifted to the house, and you know, I picked it up and started making noise on it.
So the guitar was always going to be the instrument, you know what I mean? Like it was never going to be anything else. You didn't flirt with anything else because the guitar was there. That's what you gravitated towards.
Yeah, I picked up that thing and was playing it sort of straight away. I mean, maybe I sort of romanticized the idea of playing drums as well. I was I was into the idea of drums, but I had a guitar. I started learning it, and that was that.
And did you? And so is it safe to say that you were self-taught? Were there any lessons involved?
I had lessons, like right from the start. Like I had lessons at school, and I sort of followed on through that. When I left school, I went to like uni and sort of did music. So I learned a lot about composition and recording and like all different aspects of the music sort of world. You know, learned and sort of was exposed to a lot of different styles of music. Like metal was always it was always a direct line. Metal was always what I was going to do. But you know, like I learned a lot of other stuff and had a lot of different sort of musicians and different players. You know, there's all these sort of jazz players and that, which aren't really my sort of bag. It's not my thing. But players like there's a couple of guys, El Dimiola and Paco de la Cia, which are like flamenco. Well, they're kind of Paco de la Cia, he's a flamenco player.
Yeah.
He's done heaps of stuff. But those two particularly, like the attack on their picking hand, like I mean, Paco de la Cia plays with his fingers like a bass player, but it's such an aggressive sort of attack. And same with El Dimiola, like such a strong rhythmic pick player.
Yes.
And just that sound, like, because I mean, everything, like I'm not really much of a legato sort of dude, whatever. Like I pick like a lot of what I do. And right from the early days, that aggressive sort of sound of those sorts of players, even though they're completely removed from most metal sort of orientated things, just that sort of aggression in their picking, that really sort of with me. And all those sort of jazz players and fusion players that I was exposed to going to uni, like they're all incredible. So again, it's just a matter of picking and choosing bits and pieces of, you know, not that it necessarily comes out in like crazy death metal, but you know, there's always elements of everything all combined into crap that I.
Yeah, that's interesting that you see the aggression, you know, in the picking of genres like that. That's astute to really pick that out. So how do you make the foray into the more extreme stuff? Because it is kind of a niche market. It's not for everybody. It can be off-putting to people. Was there a specific artist or an album that really got its hooks in you that you could say, like, here's the first extreme shit that I remember hearing or being into?
Well, like probably everyone that I knew around my age, everyone sort of had the same sort of crescendo. So, you know, for people that I knew, friends of mine, it was all give or take the same. It was like we were kids and it was Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. Maybe Def Leppard or something. And then you move up to Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, and then you sort of get to Slayer and Pantera as well was sort of in there somewhere. And from there, people either sort of stopped, they didn't go any further, like Slayer was the limit, or there was me and various other people who kept going. And I reckon I went to there was a kid that I went to school with who was a year older than me, and he had heaps of different music, and he loaned me copies of like Morbid Angel albums, Cannibal Corpse albums.
Yeah, real heavy stuff.
Yeah. And like King Diamond, Merciful Fate, My Dying Bride. He was into all sorts of shit, but he gave me a copy of Tomb of the Mutilated, and it was like I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know whether I liked it, but I just couldn't understand it yet. It was like it was just too much for me.
Yeah.
And then when I got a copy of The Bleeding, because The Bleeding's a pretty sort of accessible album.
Yes.
Like, it's almost commercial, but I got that as a kid, and it had me. And from there, I went back to Tomb of the Mutilated, and it all made sense. And there was no turning back from there. So then I got all the early sort of Cannibal albums, Morbid Angel, just Deicide. Earlier on, I'd already been into like Arise and like Sepultura stuff.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of that. Like I'd practice guitar along to all this stuff. Like I'd play along to Metallica and Megadeth and all that. You know, perhaps not that well, but I'd do it. And I remember playing along to like Arise and Beneath the Remains, and it was like so fast, some of that stuff, and the down picking was really full.
Oh yeah.
And so once I sort of crossed that, like made that jump from sort of perhaps Arise might have been the heaviest album I had at the time, and then to get from there to Tomb of the Mutilated and Morbid Angel, Deicide, bloody hell, what else was there at the time? I mean, Suffocation as well. Like, you know, when I heard Pierce from Within, that was another one. It's like, because I didn't hear that for quite some time for some reason. You know, things are a little bit sort of maybe a bit slower, and I was a little bit harder to get albums, and you know, I was young and didn't have much money. But once I heard Pierce from Within, then you know, that was it. Between all those albums, and then everything else is sort of slowly came to the front, like Hearing Later, Immolation, just all the sort of classic and obvious sort of death metal albums, and that people still listen to now. When all that came in, it was like, that's it. This is
game changer. Yeah,
this is where it's going from now on. There's no changing, you know.
It's pretty interesting because you know there's so many areas of the world that are synonymous with scenes. You know, San Francisco, the Bay Area has the thrash metal scene. Here in the States, our death metal scene is pretty legendary down in Florida. You know, in Tampa, Sweden obviously has produced a lot of extreme metal, but Australia really has a great scene, don't they? Talk a little bit about the Australian music scene. Now, you do a lot of work with the guys from Psychroptic, correct? You guys are in a lot of the same projects, and but there's a lot of great metal out of Australia, though. I don't think it's necessarily a place that immediately pops onto people's radar.
Yeah, totally. I mean, well, for one, you know, you got AC/DC, it's like the greatest rock band. So,
no doubt, no question. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think for many years I don't know what it is, but perhaps it's the isolation thing. Like we're so far, especially like, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago or whatever. Yeah. We're so far removed from Europe and from the States that we kind of got our own insular sort of thing and our own doing things. Yeah. So, you know, me sort of being a kid and, you know, being into metal and then sort of finally discovering, because, you know, like you'd hear everything from the radio or the music stores or whatever and friends. And then, you know, if you're a bit more passionate than the average listener, then you start going to shows or delving into like local bands and things. Mm-hmm. And some of the bands when I was in school, when I was just starting to go to gigs and discover things, there were some like world-class bands from here. And, you know, there's like just an example. Like there was a band called ABRAMELIN. There's a band called Damaged, Bean Flipper, Bloodduster. You know, like some of these bands have gone on to do like a lot of things, a lot of traveling, release a lot of albums and that. But those bands, they're like Damaged, especially, like just world class. Like if they had have had the exposure, like on an international level, if they had been able to just get in a van and do a circuit of the States or go to the UK, go to Europe and do like just be able to do runs around Europe.
Right.
Like I think those bands would have been just fucking huge.
Yeah.
In the same way that like those early days, like, you know, all the early bands in the Florida scene, like, you know, they've all done well. They're all, you know, everyone knows Obituary, Cannibal, they're household names.
Yeah.
And I think because of where they are, you know, obviously they've been able to do 30-day runs of the States over and over for years and years.
Yep.
To just keep that audience and keep building. I think if some of these Australian bands, like, you know, Sadistic Execution, they went to Europe, you know, it all fell apart because they're psychopaths, but they're brilliant. What a story. Right. You know, and then you go into Bestial Warlust, and then, you know, that sort of splinters into Destroyer, and, you know, the list goes on. But a lot of these bands they've all kind of got like a secret sauce. They're all really sort of like, they're not normal, you know. They've all got a weird sort of secret Australian sauce that's involved.
Yeah.
And you know, that influence on, you know, younger musos at the time, like, I don't know, like me, you know, just some kid. And then, you know, like, I know that the guys in Psychroptic were quite influenced by certain Australian bands. So, you know, look what Psychroptic have gone on to do. They're
incredible. Yeah, they're incredible. Yeah.
And they're in the States at the moment. You know, they're doing a run of the States now. But, you know, those sort of, that secret sauce that was in all those Aussie bands, you know, all that time ago, it influences other Aussie musos, and then they go on to do other things as well. So it was definitely a pretty crazy, magical sort of time, you know, when I was a kid to follow these bands, and for them all to be so good as well, you know.
Yeah. And I certainly would encourage people. I'm glad you brought that up, man. Psychroptic is about to start a run in the States. November 24th, I want to let people know that and I have a friend of mine who plays in a thrash metal band in North Carolina who's going to be my guest co-host for this episode, but we're going to have Jason from Psychroptic on. My buddy is super stoked because he's a huge Psychroptic fan. So I said, yeah, I'll have you on and you can sit in on the interview too or whatever, man. But so he's not going to be on the first run of shows. He's apparently joining them a little later into the tour or whatever. So he'll be, so we won't have to worry about the time difference. We just correlated the interview of the day, and he's like, yeah, we'll do it at the end of November. I'll be actually in the States. We don't have to worry about the big time difference or whatever. So yeah, I'm very stoked. I've had David on the podcast before. Yeah, they're just a great band. They really are. You know, and I think I think it's great. Some of those Australian bands, you know, say what you will about Pantera, Phil Anselmo, what people's opinion is of him, but he likes to support band. I always see him with King Parrot shirts on, with Portal shirts on. He does his best to, you know, to get some of these bands a little more exposure, which I think is always great for the scene.
Yeah, I think, you know, like, again, whatever, Phil Anselmo, but, you know, you can't deny those various Pantera albums.
No doubt.
You also can't deny everything that he's done, like now. Like, he keeps going, he keeps doing stuff. It's all different. Scale's brilliant. Like, Down, that's been around forever, but Down's brilliant. Pantera's brilliant.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not really familiar with much else, but I know he does heaps of stuff. And he just seems to be like, he just seems to be a music fan. You know, like, the fact that he loves Portal, he loves King Parrot, you know. There's obviously a million other things that he loves. So it's, you know, a music fan, which is a killer, you know.
And I don't think there's any denying the influence that, you know, I mean, it does help your band when a guy like Phil Anselmo gets on stage and he's wearing a Portal shirt or a King Parrot shirt. People are going to possibly go down that rabbit hole because they're going to be like, Phil Anselmo's wearing this shirt, and, you know, he thinks a lot of this band. You know, I mean, his influence is pretty vast.
Yeah, and that's the same with you know, I remember that being a kid. It's like you'd see photos of, I don't know, Cannibal, and they'd all be wearing various band T-shirts.
Right.
You look into it, you know, like Trey was always wearing a Nocturnus T-shirt.
Right.
You know, the list goes on. So as a kid, you see that, and you read the fucking thanks list in the back of the album.
Big time. Yep.
And then you look through all those bands and start figuring out who's who and how it's all connected and all that sort of shit. So it's great.
Yeah, I know reading liner notes and seeing who other bands that were thanked certainly influenced a lot of the choices that I made. You know what I mean? Like when you open up a Metallica album and you see, you know, somebody like James Hetfield when you're a teenager and he's naming off all these bands that they're either friends with from the scene or they've been on tour with or whatever. You know what I mean? You start to go check those bands out. You know what I mean? Those guys talk and people listen. You know, you
Totally.
do. And so, so for you, what is your creative process like when you're going to write songs? You're going to create music. Are you the type? There's kind of two schools of thought here, at least that I've dealt with. There's people that kind of get sparks of creativity throughout the day, and they're either going to record it, or they're saying it into their phone, or they're jotting it down. Or there's people that can kind of go in and treat it like a job. I'm going to go into a room, I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to create today. You know what I mean? Almost like punching a clock, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like what type of creative are you?
From that statement, I would say 95%. I can just treat it like it's a job.
Okay.
Like I can and that's what I've done for probably for the last 10 years. I've probably done that. I mean, the thing with me is because I've done so many different bands. So there was Berserker, and there was like the main sort of bigger bands I've done: Berserker, ANTICHRIST. Then I did the Antichrist Imperium, Werewolves, and ABRAMELIN. They're the main ones. And there's also a band called FAUSTIAN. So Werewolves and FAUSTIAN are the same dudes.
Yeah.
But all those other bands, they're all really different from each other.
Yeah.
So that's like, and we're going back 20 years until now. So all those different bands, they're all completely different, and they've all got different styles of riffing, playing, music, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of shit up here that I can draw upon.
Sure.
So if it comes time to write a Werewolves album, all I got to do is pick up my guitar, sit down, and literally hit record and just start playing riffs.
Yeah. And
just keep going until it's done. So like if I was to wait around, and I've done this in the past, if I wait around for sort of inspiration, like if something comes to me and I just sort of sing it into a phone, or if I've got an idea and I think, oh wow, I'd write it down or just record a riff, it'll just take years, take forever to get anything really.
Yeah.
But if I sit down and just work, that's it. I can just keep going until it's done. And on a good, if things are going really well, I could write an album, for better or worse, in like a long weekend.
Yeah.
But and if I get a bit stuck and it's not happening, then maybe it takes a week or two or whatever. But it's just that thing where as soon as you start working, it starts happening. And even if maybe if I was to start writing today, maybe nothing would happen today. But if I get one little idea, cool, in the bank, done. And then the next day I come back, and then perhaps I can build upon that idea, and it all comes out. So it's definitely a work ethic thing, just sit down and do it, as opposed to waiting for inspiration. Because if the inspiration doesn't happen, then what are you going to do? Just not do anything for
on your hands, right? Yeah. And so when you're going to create albums, like you just mentioned, like, writing a Werewolves album, for instance, when you and or the band are going to do an album, and this is one of the things that I see critiqued the most nowadays when I look at websites that that review albums or that give feedback or criticism, do you guys sit around and consciously think about how long an album should be, how many songs, how many minutes we want it to come in at? Because this seems like this is a sticking point now with a lot of reviewers, and maybe that lends itself to dwindling attention spans, or the fact that people are it's a fast-paced world. People are just track by track. You know what I mean? They're making playlists. They're taking a couple songs off of an album that they like. You guys sit around and say, hey, we only want this to be X amount of songs, or this has to come in at X amount of minutes?
We've probably briefly talked about that, but I mean, I think it's a pretty sort of, we know within our heads that it's like, because it's just so brutal, and it's just death metal that does that the whole way.
Right.
Yeah, like we can't have an album that does like 50 minutes of that. It's too much.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like it. But I mean, and Hey Eternal is a good one. Like, I love Hey Eternal. Like,
yeah.
I've got a playlist that I listen to at work, and it's got all the Hey Eternal albums. So I put it on, and like no one comes in the room to see me because it's just Hey Eternal playing for like
it scares them away.
hours and hours of Hey Eternal. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so our albums, they give or take I don't know, we know that they're 9 songs and they're about 35 minutes, just depending if they're, because it's like, as fun as it is to make brutal music, it's like, can anyone really listen to more than half an hour of just
right?
So yeah, we're conscious of that. I mean, saying that, like, I think we all me definitely, and I'm sure the other guys are the same, we love sort of bigger and longer albums. Like we've just finished our Faustian album, and that's the Werewolves dudes doing black metal.
Right.
So we finished the second album, and it's probably, I don't know, 45 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But that sort of music, like, it's black metal, sort of Emperor, Satyricon, Mayhem, Marduk, Funeral Mist. It's a little bit of all of that mulched in together, and that lends itself to longer songs. You know, and there's a lot more dynamics up and down, so it's a very easy listen to get 45 minutes of that in. And you know, there's other bands where there's longer albums. You know, I don't mind Tool. I hate the new album, but I don't mind Tool. There's something different to do. And you know, they got long albums, and it's cool. I'm not one for, like, I really enjoy the album experience. Like, if I put something on, I'll listen to an album. I don't listen to, you know, like, if I'm at work or some shit like that, then it'll just be on a playlist or random or doing something else. But like, if I put music on to listen to, it's an album. You know, last night I put on Formula's Fatal of the Flesh with the intention of listening to the first song.
Right.
And a whole lot.
You listen to it all the way through. Yeah.
Album. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're conscious that, you know, half an hour ish is probably enough for like that kind of music to just go and go and go. So yeah, that's it, you know.
But does an LP work the most, man? Like, in any of these projects, are EPs ever discussed? You know what I mean? Like, is you know, in today's music landscape, is one the right answer over another? I think the metal world still seems to respond best to a full-length, fully realized album.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of EPs. Like, I know that I've got friends in bands that, you know, are releasing an EP, or they're just about to, they do an album, then maybe they do an EP.
Yeah, they often leave you wanting more.
Yeah, I kind of think it's a cop-out. Like, I mean, I say that Werewolves did an EP, but we did do an album and then an EP in the same year, and then another album the next year. So it wasn't like we were taking the easy way out. We just did it for fun. Yeah,
you guys have been very prolific. You guys have rolled out a lot of material. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So I mean, EPs are cool, you know, but I prefer an album, and it's not really something that I want to do. Like, I'm not into singles as well. Like, I find the whole modern sort of, you know, I mean, it's not a thing so much in the metal world, but the modern bands that do like drop singles, it's like, whatever, just give me a fucking album. You know, I don't want to hear 4 songs and with a remix or some shit. I want the new album, you know.
Well, I'm sure oftentimes, man, you would probably agree with this as a musician too, though. Sometimes when you get the single, though, and especially in the metal world, sometimes, you know, you need the rest of the songs because there is a concept of the album, or there's certainly an arrangement and a flow to it where you need to hear the stuff that's around that song as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, in all my bands, we put a lot of time into the track listing of an album. Yeah. And I think it's really important, you know, like the whole flow of how the album works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a definite thing. Like, and it kind of, you know, when we release an album, there's always like, they'll do an advanced single or 2 or 3 singles or whatever it is, and it's cool, but it's also a bit weird choosing which song you're going to use, or if a label that, like, they might choose, you know, if it's like, oh, I go with them, they you know, they know what they're doing. So yeah, there'll be a song released and it's like, but this song's better, or but this it doesn't really work, the flow, or with the Werewolves, it's something so silly. It's like some of the samples or the sound bites between songs are so stupid, and even they kind of mean something, you know.
Right.
So yeah, everything I do, we always think about the flow and the track listing of a song, of an album. So it is a bit weird to just have that chopped up, so it doesn't really mean much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've realized from doing this podcast and talking to other artists, and I guess me not being a musician myself, I never really realized the importance. But when you release a project, that is a big deal, though. The arrangement. I mean, how how an album plays all the way through. The order of the songs, all that stuff. It matters.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So song crafting. When you're writing albums, and I guess speaking just more or less on behalf of yourself, but obviously, you're in bands, so maybe this is something about the other guys in the bands you're with. But how do these great songs usually come about? What's the formula? We talked about your creative process, but does it start with a line, a title, a riff? When you're involved in a great song, how does it usually spawn?
Well, for me, it always starts with a riff for me. It's all about the riff. So like, I mean, I've got a rock band as well, and that's kind of Guns N' Roses influence, but it's still all about the riff. So this riff's got to be killer. So it starts with a riff, one good riff, and then you can build upon it. One good riff leads to another, then you can expand upon this and cut that in half and speed it up, slow it down, see what the vibe does, see how things feel. Like, you might have 2 minutes worth of chaos, and then it's like, all right, well, it feels like it needs to stop back and breathe for a minute, half time, whatever. Like all these sort of compositional tools as such all come into play. Something silly, for example, is like if I'm sitting down to write an album, I'll open up Pro Tools and it's so silly, but I'll name the file something. So like, I don't know, like just the first silly word that comes to my mind.
A working title. Yeah.
Working title. So the working title, this happened on the first Werewolves album. One of the songs, the working title was Suffocation. So bang, Suffocation, click record. Yeah. And then lo and behold, the riff comes out sounding a little bit like Suffocation.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of silly thing happens.
Yeah.
But and for like, I think like writing, probably for a lot of bands, I know for most of the things that I do, writing is a pretty individual thing. So like, when I was a kid, or and I imagine probably the same for everyone, like 20, 30, 40 years ago, there'd be a lot more. When you're younger, you'd all be in a room together, playing together, making noise together.
Oh yeah.
Whereas nowadays, that's much more of a rarity.
Yeah.
Like my time in ANTICHRIST, we would all be in the room together, playing riffs together and doing stuff together, and it would take a while, but it'd be quite satisfying for a whole band to work on an arrangement together. Whereas nowadays, for everything that I do, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for like all my bands, like ABRAMELIN, Werewolf, Shotgun, Faustian, they all do the same thing. It's all very individual.
Yeah.
And I dare say it's the same for Psychroptic as well, knowing those guys and how they work. It ain't a band all together, playing together, working out riffs together, me showing the bass player how to play this and us working, it's all individual. And then I kind of like, speaking for Werewolves and the other bands that I'm in, I'll record a song, for better or worse, like be it intro, verse, chorus, bridge, solo, whatever. Send it to the other guys, and then they might come back with some suggestions. Perhaps Dave will say, can you speed this bit up a bit? That needs to be quicker. Or no, can you bring the whole thing down a bit? It might be a bit tougher if it's just a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And Sam's really good in Werewolves. He'll be occasionally like, I'm just thinking about vocals, like those verses, they should be half the length. I've got a bit of an idea like what I'd do. So, he's always been a good one for condensing things down a bit. Like if I write a song and I don't know, let's say it's 4.5 minutes, he might get back to me and go, it's a bit long. If we can get it down to 4 minutes, that'd be better.
Yeah.
I can fit things in nicer. There'll be less sort of dead space, keep things moving along, keep the excitement there. Don't give anyone a chance to get bored with the song,
Right.
So it's judging from all my stuff and what I kind of know about how the other guys work. It's all very individual, but then, you know, suggestions will come in afterwards. Take this bit out, add that bit in, make this bit longer, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame that things aren't like the old days.
I know.
But, you know, like, what are you going to do? Everyone's busy. Everyone's got
job,
mortgage, rent, kids, family.
Sure. Yeah. I talked to musicians on here where, like, you know, who are in bands where, you know, guys aren't even in the same states anymore. You know what I mean? They're, you know, they're spread all over the country, and, you know, they're sending stuff to each other and files and whatnot. You know, I mean, it's kind of the way of the world right now. And so a new Werewolves album just dropped. It's literally like a matter of weeks old. I'm wondering, you know, I talked about, you know, sites that review albums earlier. Are you somebody that goes and looks at reviews and criticism? You know what I mean? Like, when you put out a new album, will you go and look and take a gander at what people are saying about it?
I do. You know, like sometimes I'll do a Google search and just sort of see what, you know, scroll through and have a read of what people say. To be honest, like, I mean, mostly it's for Werewolves. Mostly it's pretty positive. And if it's not, it's because they don't get it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, it's obviously Werewolves is only for people that like that sort of music.
Sure.
You know, maybe someone else can dip their toes in it for a bit. But yeah, like, I mean, the thing is, sort of like, what's a review? It's just what some pricks got to say about something.
Sure,
you know,
sure. Granted.
A lot of people don't like it.
Right.
If they don't like it, that's fine, brilliant. Like, you know, things aren't for everyone. Like I say, not everyone likes Hey Eternal. I fucking love Hey Eternal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I look at them, but whatever. What does it mean? It's just some prick what they got to say about an album. You know, some people have got something cool to say. Like, I know we one of the earlier albums, there was quite an in-depth review, and they mentioned something about the vocals, and Sam's like, "Oh, fucking hell," they caught me out. Like, there was something he wasn't quite happy about with the vocals.
Yeah.
It was something like, no one would pick it. It's something, I don't know, like the overall message of the overall sort of feel of how the album flows, and they kind of caught him out, and he's like, fuck. Yeah, I'll have to think about that next time. I don't want to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, whatever. Fucking, you know, you don't do something, you don't write an album worrying about what someone on the internet's going to fucking say about it.
Right. And it isn't necessarily a mistake. It's a mistake, as you said, in that person's eyes, but it might not necessarily be a mistake. I mean, like, that could be one person out of 1,000 who thinks that that's a mistake. You know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, like, what someone could perceive as a mistake, somebody else could say, that's my favorite part. I thought that was brilliant. You know.
Totally. You know, and there's been a handful of songs that we've put on albums where I've not necessarily been happy with the end result.
Yeah.
You know, our songs are like Werewolf songs are nine songs per album, and I think there's been 2 albums where there was a song on each of those. I'm like, it didn't quite turn out as good as I would have liked.
Yeah,
it's a bit, you know, it's a bit disappointing. It's cool, but it's not what I would class as the best we could have done. And you know, then some fucking reviews write that that's a highlight song. It's like, whatever, who cares?
Yeah. How do you decide what makes the cut? That's interesting, because I imagine you guys work like a lot of other artists do. You know, I mean, 9 songs make it, but you might have a few more than that. How do you decide what makes the cut? Is that democratic? Is that put to like a vote? Do you guys sit around and say, you know what I mean, like, hey, like, what's going to make it on the album, and what are we going to trim here?
With Werewolves, 9 songs get written, and they're the 9 that go on the album.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident with, like, what if I write a song that I'm confident that that's it. You know, like, I've sort of gone through the throwing bits away phase as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, perhaps I'll do 5 riffs, and that 5th one's dynamite. So then I scrap the first 4 and start again.
Yeah.
By the time the song gets written, that's it. It's cool. You know, like, we know that it's going to be pretty good. And then by the time everything else gets added on, drums, vocals, whatever else, it only builds upon it. So if I'll start with 9 skeletons of songs, I'll be happy with those 9, and then generally they'll only get better as they get built upon.
So you guys won't have like 15, 16 songs and have to trim it down to 9.
No. When we did the 2nd and 3rd album, we wrote 2 albums at once. So yeah, we recorded those 2 albums at the same time. So that was a bit funny because we had 18 songs, and we weren't exactly sure which 9 were going to go on which album. So that took a little while to sort of make sure. It's like, oh, we don't want to put the ones that we perceive as the best all on the second album, or the third, whatever it was, because then we'll be left with the ones that we think are the weakest for the next one. So yeah, it was, yeah, we wrote 2 albums, and that was it. There was 2 albums ready to go.
Now, obviously, touring and getting out and playing live is a big part of what you guys do, especially nowadays with the physical product not being as prevalent, album sales not what they used to be, people streaming their music a lot nowadays. Where do you stand on touring? What's your relationship with touring? You know, do you enjoy? Obviously, there's a glamorous side, you know, to getting to travel, see parts of the world. But talking to so many musical artists on here, they do get to a point where they get to, you know, they miss their creature comforts. They want to get home. Enough is enough. You know what I mean? You start to, it starts to wear thin. I'm sure you're out there with different personalities trying to get along and all that kind of stuff. What's your relationship like with touring personally?
It's funny because over the years, like I haven't done anything. I haven't been out of Australia. Well, actually, I was in Japan last year for a bunch of shows with a band. But I've done a lot of stuff in Australia over the last few years, Japan before that, and I lived in the UK for 10 years. And throughout that time, I did a bit of stuff through Europe, a lot of stuff through the UK. And prior to that, I'd been to the States a couple of times in Europe, and you know, so I've done a fair bit. It's kind of like I always think it's a love-hate sort of thing. It's great to play shows, and it's great to see the world, and it's great to do all that shit. But it also fucking sucks a bit at the same time.
Yeah, it's everything in between, right? Yeah.
I might have been caught complaining once before, saying, you know, well, have I got to deal with 23 hours of bullshit just for 1 hour on stage?
Right.
I like it. Sometimes I dread it. Sometimes, you know, it's a financial burden sometimes. Like, you know, there's only, you can only run at a loss so much, you know, like you've got to toss up what's important, you know, like, I mean, I'm happy to go and play shows. Like, we've got shows with Abath. He's doing an Immortal set in January, and I can't wait, you know. Only with one of the other bands, so me and Dave, we're doing our other band we play in ABRAMELIN. We're doing a show in Perth, which is the other side of Australia from me, on the day. And then with Werewolves, we do a run of shows throughout the week. And it's going to be pretty full on because interstate shows here, you got to fly. You can't drive. It's just and all the flights are early morning, so it's late nights, and it's just, you know, we're all a little bit older than we were, so it's kind of hard. It's hard to get by without sleeping that much. And it's like, I mean, I'm into it, and you know, I've got things coming up in the coming years that I've got a trip to the States coming up with a band. It's cool. I like it, but it's not easy. It's not as much fun as it was when you're a kid. You know?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But saying that, like you know, that satisfaction of playing on stage, that's, you know, that's just amazing. And that it's funny how that 1 hour can just about erase the 23 hours of bullshit that you might experience in a day. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I like it. I'm into it. I understand the importance of it. Sometimes I'm a bit miserable about doing it, but really I like it. You know, what are you going to do?
I've often heard the magic number on here nowadays is I tend to hear a lot of guys echo the same sentiment, where it starts to wear on them maybe like 3-4 weeks, man, is really pushing it for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And I seem to have heard that number quite a bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, 3 or 4 week tours are nice. Anything beyond that starts to get a bit tedious.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything long for a long time now, but I could see that, and it's funny, like having done a few got the cycles through the States, you know, that's a big thing, you know. 30 odd shows is the typical run of the States.
Right.
I mean, I know bands can do up to 7 weeks sort of cycles of the States, and I always sort of imagine what that would be like, because it's a little bit easier, you know, like for us to do things in Oz. Like if you want to play like 4 or 5 shows in Oz, you've got Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, and basically the closest one of those you can do is pretty much like a 10-hour drive.
Right.
And you can't drive to Perth from Adelaide, and you can't drive. It's you know, you can't go Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and then drive. It's too much. You need to fly.
Yeah.
And you know, and then money comes into it, and then you're worrying about getting cheap flights, and the cheap flights are at 6 a.m. but the loadout is at fucking 2 a.m. the night before.
Killing yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's pretty full on to do these Oz sort of things. But you know, it's great, love it. But yeah, 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's a long time, you know, long time to be away from home. Long time if you got a fucking sore neck or a sore back, elbow. It's hard to stay in a shitty little bunk and all that sort of stuff.
Now, I'm always amazed by guys who come on here. You know, again, I have artists who come on here that have a singular focus. They're in one band, and that's their band. And then I get a lot of guests on here who have eggs in many baskets, 4, 5, 6 different bands. I'm always amazed by these guys. The time they can devote, where they find the energy. It's incredible. I'm in awe of these kind of guys. You seem to be one of those guys in multiple bands. Is that how you've always liked to work? Do you like to be busy? Do you like to have your hands in a lot of projects?
I think so. I mean, I've done. There hasn't been much time where I've only done one band.
Yeah.
I think my time in the UK, that was probably the main sort of period where I was in one band for a fair while, which was Adcocker. I think if you're creative, like I'd find it very weird to only play like brutal. If I only did Werewolves, it'd feel weird as a guitarist. So you know, there's no solos in Werewolves. It's all just rhythmic sort of caveman music. Right. But, you know, like, I think if, like, because I like playing, like, I like a lot of different music, you know. So, like, I'm really into blues and rock. So I've got a rock band. And the whole point of that is for me to try and play like Slash, you know, blues. Yeah. So if I do a bunch of things, it's, it kind of tickles various creative itches.
Yeah.
You know, like, you got death metal, black metal, a mixture of the both with Antichrist, rock music. You know, even the 2 death metal, like the main death metal bands, is ABRAMELIN and Werewolves. So it's Dave's on drums in both of those, and it's me. And they're both death metal, but they're both very different. So it's quite, you know, ABRAMELIN's more groove orientated. It's definitely got a different feel to it than Werewolves, which is just a blast. So it tickles different creative itches. And I also think the only reason I could do it is because I make a point of only, well, I've been a bit lucky, but now that I'm in a lucky position, I would never go back. I only work with people that are fucking on that level. And I'm not talking about a talent level. I'm talking about fucking focus, commitment, dedication. You know, like a person doesn't have to be the best drummer or the best fucking this or that. It's not about that. They just have to be at a level where they're, all right, I'll rehearse on Wednesday. I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'll have learnt the song on Wednesday, and that's it. You know, like
a commitment level. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so everyone does their homework, and then, you know, rehearsal isn't a drag because we all turn up and everyone's fucking done their work. Like Werewolves have released more albums than we've done full band rehearsals, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, you guys roll them out pretty much yearly.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, over the years, I think the 3 of us have been together rehearsing maybe 3 or 4 times, you know? And the whole point of that is the fact that it's like me and Dave rehearse quite a bit, you know, like if we've got a show coming up, we'll do a few rehearsals, but Sam's interstate, so he rarely catches up with us for rehearsals. But the thing is, we'll just, if everyone does the homework, and then you can just turn up and have one rehearsal, because it's like, oh, well, it's already solid, and then we'll play it once, cool, play the set twice, and it's like, brilliant, cool, it's done. Or if there's a little problem, then everyone goes away and just works on it. Like I've just got fucking no time to be fucking going over things at rehearsals. Like it comes into an age thing. It's like everyone's got fucking jobs and fucking mortgages and
right. It's an age thing, and it's like there's only so many hours in the day. We're all busy, man. Why don't you make the most of your time?
That's it. So if you're gonna rehearse on Wednesday night, then cool, rehearse, get it done, make sure everyone's prepared and it's good.
Yep.
And that's it. Brilliant. See you next time.
Yeah.
But like working with people that are of that mindset, I think that allows you to do a bunch of stuff, because I spend more time sitting home playing guitar than I do playing with anyone else,
Yeah.
It's all preparation and just fucking getting the job done, working hard, doing it properly.
How do you make the correlation with the Haley brothers? Do you go back a long way with them? And how did you guys come into each other's lives? I'm talking about, obviously, Joe and Dave Haley from Psychroptic.
So I guess I've sort of known them for, in Australia, everyone kind of knows everyone. Once you're in a band that's, doing a little bit of stuff and you're out on the circuit or whatever, everyone's aware of everyone, and everyone's played together at some point.
Yep.
And I don't know, for the most part, everyone's kind of cool. So, you meet people and you get to know people. So, I mean, I've known those guys for ages and ages. We, like ANTICHRIST came to Oz like a long time ago, 20 years ago. We came and did an Oz tour when I was living over there. And Dave was playing drums for the Amenta at the time, and they did the tour with us. So, we traveled around in a bus talking about in a van, sorry. And this is back when vans were more the commonplace for these sorts of tours.
Yeah.
We took a journey in a van, and I remember it. It's like so long ago. We were just talking about, which is your favorite Immortal album? Which is this? And did you like this when you were little? And how, all that sort of. So, yeah. So when I got back to Oz, this old school band of ABRAMELIN reformed. Dave was on drums. So we just sort of gelled pretty quickly, like in a band situation, and just started making music and doing the ABRAMELIN stuff, doing other stuff, Werewolves. And from there, Joe's been he's been recording, mixing and mastering, or all of the above. Most of the albums that I've done over the last 10 years, he's been involved in some way or another. And now he's playing guitar in ABRAMELIN. So I'm playing in the band with both of them, which is great because they're both incredible. So it kind of makes me, I better really up my game to try and keep up with these two dudes who are like, known in this country as being like the fucking the twins of fucking musical chaos.
But I imagine, though, man, being in numerous bands like with these same fellas, though, it probably does help with what you were talking about earlier with that focus. Though you guys just kind of come in and you know each other so well, and you're on the same page because you've got these dovetailing interests, and you're in all these different bands or whatever. It probably makes the creative process pretty rewarding, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the most rewarding part is the fact that you know that you can do something and it'll be done by the other members of the team as well. Yeah. You can rely upon people.
You're not spinning your wheels in the dirt, right? You're not just And
like the brothers Haley are great at all that sort of stuff. But another one that's that I really can't leave out of the equation is Sam, who I've within the Berserker and now Werewolves and whatever else that we're in together. But he's another one he's always had, like, my professional life of work is, dipped, and I've always had a job for years now, but Sam has always been working 9 to 5. Way back when we were sort of almost kids, he had a proper job. He'd always be working, but he always committed, always got things done, always worked hard. Like you know, like when Werewolves did those 2 albums at the same time, albums 2 and 3, I think, or 3 and 4, whatever it was, in the space of, you know, 6 months preparation time for recording, he managed to learn the 18 songs on bass, which is ridiculous because like the riffs, they're pretty full on. So he's learned 18 songs off by heart. And on top of that, he's written 18 songs worth of lyrics. So he's written and learned and memorized fucking 2 albums worth of stuff in a matter of months.
And that's not easy. Yeah.
Like, and really, I don't know anyone else that could have done that. Like, people could have learned it easy, but to write and come up with lyrical themes and all that shit as well, and then just have the whole lot in his head and just fucking do it. It's like he came around. I recorded the bass. He came around here, and we just used like sort of the studio, the stuff that I've got here, and he just sat down and plowed through it. Everything was like minimal takes, I don't know, 2 or 3 takes per song, or punching for a mistake that he'd made. But I'm like, how the fuck can you even remember 18 songs? And they're all goodness, you know, there's this
pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it's just that work ethic, you know, that sort of focus and work ethic. That to me is like so much more important than talent, you know.
Yeah, you have to applaud that. Yeah, that's commitment. That's really commitment.
And those 3 dudes, that's the fucking jackpot, because they're all talented and they've all got a fucking focused sort of mindset. So yeah, I don't think if those people and those sorts of people weren't in my bands, like I don't think I wouldn't be able to be as prolific as I am, you know, because you'd be waiting on people. Or yeah, if I write an album today, I know that Dave could theoretically get the drums recorded when he gets back from the States. Right. Opposed to spending weeks and weeks and months rehearsing and learning and trying things. And same with Sam, you know, like those dudes could do an album like that. If I said, look, we want to get this done before Christmas. Yeah. All right, we'll do it. You know, it could be done. So
with all these bands that you're involved in, do you ever have a day? Because it sounds like you're you know, you're always creating. You know, you're very prolific creatively. Do you ever have a day where you just say, "Fuck it, I'm not picking up a guitar today," or do those days not exist?
I always play guitar. Always. I mean, I don't always write riffs, but a lot of the time I'm just playing, fiddling around, jamming. Trying to get better at lead guitar stuff. But always play guitar. Like that's never stopped. Certainly not always like a focused thing. Like, you know, I just pick it up and fiddle around, watch TV, and make music, you know. But yeah, like I like writing an album. That's a focus period. So if I write an album, like what happened? I think I've written 1 album this year, and that was, well, the best part of an album earlier in the year. And I haven't written anything since, I don't think. But I mean, I've got like 3 albums sort of in the midst of being ready to be recorded at the moment. There's a Werewolves album, an ABRAMELIN album, and Shotgun, my rock band. So I've got 3 albums that I have written, which are all in the process of being recorded at the moment. Yeah. So I haven't written anything for ages, because it's going to take however long it takes to get those done. You know, Christmas is coming up and all the rest of it. So it'll slow down for a bit. But yeah, always play guitar, always.
And so as I said earlier in the interview, the Werewolves album, The Ugliest of All, it just came out. It's a matter of a couple of weeks old. Before I let you out of here, and you know, we've had a great chat. We've been going for an hour now. I wanted people to be able to know where they can tap in and find out what's going on with all your various projects. Where's the best place on social media to check out what's going on? Do all the bands have websites? Is it better to check them out on Instagram? Where can people keep up with you personally and what's going on with you?
Cool. Well, all the bands have got Instagrams and Facebooks and all that shit. I don't really, I'm not too sort of clued up with it all, but ABRAMELIN, FAUSTIAN, Werewolves, Shotgun Mistress, the Antichrist Imperium. I think that's it. So all 5 of those bands, they've all got Facebooks and Instagrams and all that sort of stuff. Most of them are combinations of like me and just the Werewolves dudes, or like me and Sam in Antichrist and the guys from ABRAMELIN. It's all quite an incestuous sort of thing.
It's
But
like
they're all on Instagram. They're all on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well.
And there is recent music out there by most of those bands too. FAUSTIAN last album was We Come as Angels, that came out in 2023. ABRAMELIN, Sins of the Father came out last year. As I said, the Werewolves has a new album out, so there's lots of new music out too. With all the projects.
Yeah, so they're all there. You can find them all on Spotify and Apple and all that sort of bullshit. Everything's there. Check it out. Great.
Yeah. Come on, people. You know how to use your internets. We can't hold your hand and do it for you. For God's sakes, use your fingers, man, and start typing and type in the bands. I mean, come on. We can't hold their hands here, Matt, right? Jesus.
That's it.
Jeez. So the last album that's out is Werewolves. So is there any plans to go out and play live? What can people expect? What do you got coming up? Any plans? Anything going on?
At the moment, just with Christmas coming up, the only thing we've really got planned is the shows in January in Oz, which that's with Abath. I'm proper excited because he's doing just old school Immortal the whole time.
Cool.
So can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
But that's the major sort of cities in Oz, so we'll do them. And we're in the midst of recording. That's all that's officially happening in a live sense at the moment, but there'll be more. Things always happen. Things come up. So keep an eye on all those internets and social media and bullshit, and you'll see more as it turns out.
Listen, Matt, I appreciate you doing this, and I especially appreciate the fact that, as I said before you got on here, huge time difference, man. I know you said you're an early bird, but I still appreciate you making the effort, man, coming on here and chopping it up with me so early, man. It means a lot. Thank you, man. And I look forward to doing it again, man. Please stay in touch, man. Whenever you got stuff brewing, you're always welcome on here, man. I'd love to chop it up again, man, for sure.
Cool, man. Great to have a chat.
Yeah.
Happy to get up in the morning and do it again. So
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. It was good talking to you, Matt. We'll do this again for sure, my friend.
Cheers, brother. Take care.
Thank you, brother. You too. There he goes, folks. Matt Wilcock. Your boy Reckless Rexx went all the way over to Australia. Well, I didn't physically go all the way to Australia, but as I did say to Matt before he left, though, I really appreciate the the lengths that he went to. I know he mentioned that he's an early bird, but still, he is up on his end. This interview just ended at 3:49 p.m. Eastern time for me. It is like 15 hours, 14 hours, something like that ahead. But without doing some rough math in my head, it's early morning over there for him, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I appreciate him going to those great lengths. Now we get down to the music. And as he said, he's in so many awesome projects. The most recent album just dropped from Werewolves. Fucking mind-blowing, face-melting, punishing, fucking brutal death metal. The album is called The Ugliest of All. FAUSTIAN, as I said, had an album come out in 2023. We Come as Angels. ABRAMELIN, Sins of the Father, came out in 2024. So Matt's fingerprint is all over a lot of great music. He's also in ANTICHRIST IMPERIUM. You can hear him on ACRCOCK albums. Geez, what else? But Berserker. I mean, if you just go put in Matt Wilcock, you will find that he has played on a lot of amazing metal albums. So do your homework, as Matt said, and as I will also back him up. We can't do it for you. Go type his name in. Go find out what he's played on. If you like what you hear, here's my little caveat right here. Go be a good fan. Go to the websites. Get on mailing lists, sign up for newsletters, go check out these bands if they're coming near you live, cop some merchandise. If you're into the physical product, find the album, whatever, stream it. Just be a good fan and support these artists that we love so much. And that was an incredible conversation. I really appreciate Matt Wilcock. And do yourself a favor. Take it from your boy Rexx. If you want to be absolutely fucking humbled, go check out the new Werewolves. As I said, it is a matter of a few weeks old. I think it might have dropped without having the information in front of me. End of September, maybe. I think I can find that out for you guys right now, if you will bear with me. The new Werewolves album just dropped. And then again, it's called The Ugliest of All. Yep, just dropped September 19th. So it is like 6 weeks old. Go check it out. As he said, 9 songs. That's what they hammer you with. That's what you're going to get. 9 brutal songs. Clocks in at about 32 minutes. It will fucking pummel you. It will slap you around. It will melt your face, and then it will make its departure, and it will just leave you there wanting more, hopefully. And the good news is you can fucking play it back again and keep playing it back again. That's the beauty of music, folks. So if you want to put yourself through it and keep getting fucking pummeled, and I would recommend you do it because you probably deserve it. Keep on spinning that Werewolves album. It's fucking good, though. All kidding aside, man, I have been listening to it quite a bit, and it's fucking brutal. It is all that and a bag of chips, so to speak. So do yourself a favor. Go check out the new Werewolves album, The Ugliest of All, and all the other great music that Matt Wilcock has been a part of. So I appreciate the conversation, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now I'll go into my obligatory promotional spiel because, as you know, if you have a podcast, you got to pimp it because there's a billion other people out there with one too. My pimp hand, there it is. It's feeling strong. So here we go. Make sure to tap into PodScum on Facebook. Our handle is Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. Both of my podcasts, one Facebook page, because I will not do more than that. No way, no how. So I promote both of my shows on one Facebook. And that's how it's going to be. End of story. Same with Instagram. Same handle. I've kept it simple for you guys. Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. And of course, if you're here watching right now, this is where you really need to be. This is where you're going to get this incredible content that we roll out weekly, by the way, sometimes multiple times a week, depending on how much content we've amassed. I like to roll it out to you guys ASAP. I'm a fan too. I get excited to do it. I get excited to present it to you guys. So this is where you need to be. Please like, please subscribe, and please smash that notification bell so you will be privy to when new content is dropping, because you'll want to be in the loop. You just do. It's a good place to be. So again, I appreciate all my viewers, all my subscribers, and of course, my guests, without whom I could not do this. Special thanks today goes out to Matt Wilcock of ABRAMELIN, FAUSTIAN, ANTICHRIST IMPERIUM, Berserker, Werewolves, which is the newest. Go check that out. And you can find Matt playing on a lot of amazing fucking metal albums. So go out there, be a good fan. I appreciate you guys being a good fan for me and tapping in. Hope you guys dug that episode. And until we get together and we do this thing again, please remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.